Sports Stories, Changeup, Chapter 6, Down and Out. A chilly March wind blew as Patrick suited up for the game at the Scorpions field. "Hey, Todd," he waved at the left fielder who was warming up with the baseman. Todd grinned at him.
"Hi, Patrick. I bet you're glad to see me back on the field."
Patrick nodded. "Left field is okay, but I'd much rather catch."
"Mickey did a good job filling in. He's a great addition to the team," Todd said.
Patrick looked down, adjusting his pads.
"Yeah," he said. "See you later."
He sprinted toward home plate to warm up with Dell.
"Batter up,"
called the umpire a few moments later. Patrick tried to settle into the familiar place behind the plate, but he felt like all eyes were on him. Todd wasn't the only one who'd said that Mickey had done a good job as catcher last week. Plus, Mickey was a fantastic hitter, much better than Patrick. "I can't mess up today," Patrick thought. He'd spent hours last night preparing for the game by reviewing player stats. He probably should have spent just as much time on math. By the bottom of the 7th inning, the score was tied. The first Scorpions batter stepped up and swung. Crack! A single. The next batter stepped into the box. Patrick flicked his gaze toward first base every few seconds. Dell couldn't easily see the runner, so it was up to Patrick to watch him closely. If the runner tried to steal a base, Patrick had to signal Dell quickly. Before Dell released the pitch, the runner started toward second, taking a long lead. Could Dell turn around and pick him off? Not worth the risk, decided Patrick. He signaled for a curveball and Dell whipped it in.
Strike!
The runner dashed back to first base and took his lead again. Patrick could see Dell get ready for the pick, waiting for Patrick's signal. The runner inched closer toward second. He was really pushing it. Patrick considered trying to pick him off, but the runner was fast. Patrick knew that a mistake on the field would put the runner on second. So Patrick signaled a pitch, and Dell delivered the fastball. Whack! The ball rocketed far out to center field. The runner on first base rounded second and slid into third. By the end of the inning, the runner had scored. The Scorpions won the game 5-4. Patrick was standing in the dugout with some other players when Daniel stalked over. "What's the matter with you, Patrick?" Daniel demanded. "That guy was an easy pick. You should have signaled Dell." Patrick kept his eyes down. Daniel was right. Patrick and Dell should have picked off the runner. "Everybody makes mistakes," Patrick said in a low voice. Mickey clapped Patrick on the shoulder. "Shake it off, dude. We'll win the next one." Patrick shrugged Mickey's hand away. "Players don't lose," Mickey went on. "Teams lose. It's not your fault." "Yes, it is my fault," Patrick glared at Mickey. "I was rusty today. That's from being stuck in left field last week." Dell looked surprised. "Hey, Patrick, ease up a little." "Yeah," Daniel chimed in. "Knock it off." "It's been a bad day," Patrick sighed. "How about just giving me some space?" "Sure." Dell shook his head and walked away. Mickey and Daniel went to talk with some other players. Patrick felt Daniel's old mitt in his bag as he stuffed his other equipment aside. "This thing is more like an unlucky mitt," he thought. He should give it to Buff for a chew toy. Patrick avoided his friends at school the next morning. He felt embarrassed by the way he had acted after the game yesterday. But it wasn't all your fault, he thought. Daniel shouldn't have criticized Patrick in front of everyone. He slid into his seat at an empty lunch table. He shoveled down the cafeteria's Friday special and pulled out his math book. He had a test in 24 minutes, and he definitely wasn't ready for it. He stared at his textbook. Did anyone really need to know about exponents? "I need to know or I'll flunk this test," he muttered. "You're kidding!" Dell's voice suddenly rose from a nearby table. He laughed loudly. Patrick looked to his left. Most of the members of the baseball team were gathered at the other table talking to Coach. Mickey said something, and then Dell laughed loudly again and motioned toward where Patrick sat. Patrick's face burned. Were they laughing at him? Maybe they were making fun of him because of his mom's van. Or, more likely, they were saying that his catching stunk yesterday. Patrick kept his eyes on his book and pretended he didn't hear them. But it wasn't easy. They kept talking and laughing loudly. Finally, Patrick closed the book in frustration and put his head on top of it.
Test today?
Asked a deep voice. Patrick raised his head. Coach loomed over him like a skyscraper. "Oh, I was just studying," Patrick said. Coach glanced at the closed book and raised his eyebrows.
"Oh, I find it easier to study with my book open."
"I'm just tired." Coach sat across the table from Patrick.
"I heard you were having some problems in math."
What? Patrick thought. Coach knew about his math grade? He glanced at the table where his teammates sat. Dell was the only one that Patrick had told about his last math quiz. I can't believe Dell ratted on me, Patrick thought.
"The school has a tutoring program," continued Coach, "and strict rules about athletes' grades. So get some help sooner rather than later. Another failing quiz grade, Patrick, and you won't be able to play baseball."
Patrick swallowed hard. "I'll do better, Coach, I promise." His face burned again. The whole team was watching as Coach lectured him about his crummy grades.
"Good," said Coach as the bell rang. "See you later at practice."
"Yes, sir," said Patrick. Patrick ignored his teammates at the other table. He was still steaming over how they'd been talking about him. He broke out in a sweat, and suddenly he could feel the cafeteria's Friday special rising in his stomach. He clamped a hand over his mouth and ran for the exit.
Little Fox.